Okay, so took a little bit trying to figure out the new YouTube live stuff, but I think it's working. It might even be streaming in the other room. Let's see here. Yeah. All right, so today I was going to build a plugin for Docker that lets you mount 9P file systems. And 9P is sort of not a very well-known protocol. It came from Bell Labs, and it's actually a really simple alternative to NFS. So NFS is sort of this standard protocol you'd use for mounting a remote file system, and most operating systems can just mount it. Turns out 9P is also built into the Linux kernel. So unlike some custom protocols or file systems where you'd actually have to rebuild your kernel in order to mount it, 9P is already in there. And the reason why 9P is interesting as opposed to NFS is NFS is fairly complicated and finicky, and 9P is very simple as a protocol, which means it's easy to build custom servers and clients in it. And so that's the idea, is that ultimately what I want to do is create a client that will expose your local directory to a server that you connect to, which may be running a container, and that container can then have access to your local file system, or at least that directory. So the idea is that I can orchestrate that by having by running the container with a plugin, a volume plugin that can do 9P, so that when it creates the container and it creates a volume using Docker volumes, that'll be a 9P file system. Yeah, it is kind of streaming in the other room. So I'm going to be doing this in Go, and let me know if you have any questions kind of along the way about Docker plugins, or Go, or 9P. There's kind of a lot of things involved here, so I kind of want to do this in steps. So I'm already looking at this Go library that some of the Docker people wrote. I'm not sure it's maintained anymore because we actually submitted some patches to make it usable, to make it work. And I wrote a server file system implementation, and none of these pull requests have gotten any kind of attention. So we're just kind of using our own forks. Me and Jonathan Titanus, who I worked with on the Flynn project. So Flynn's doing something very similar, where they want to be able to let you deploy, and they'll deploy by mounting your local directory to the remote build system, and then it can build and it can deploy. So it's sort of an alternative to like Heroku push. And there's a lot of cool things. I want to use this in Command.io so that your commands can have access to your local file system, which then opens up a lot of possibilities. So 9P, we have this cool implementation here, and then we kind of finished it. Just to give you an idea, which I was already looking at, this is the interface. This is a great library in terms of breaking down a protocol. At the heart of it, there is the session interface, which defines sort of at a high level the various kind of main verbs that are in this protocol. Because actually NFS and most of these, including 9p, are basically kind of RPC style protocols where they just define a frame for defining, like, calling a method. And so these are all the methods that are defined here. If you look at this spec, I'm not sure where that manual section. Yeah. Hey, Joseph. I guess we haven't met, but or we talked on Twitter. I guess we had a phone call too. I'm not sure. It's been a while. But yeah, 9p is really cool. And a couple of people kind of started exploring it, and then it seems like kind of went away. So now trying to bring it back. So the idea here now is to build a plugin. So with this library, I have there's a client and server implementation, custom client and server. So the first thing I want to do is test that and make sure that's working. And then we're going to build a Docker. I actually kind of have a loose framework for a Docker volume plugin that I more or less copied from this SSHFS. So very similar, except for the SSHFS protocol. And most volume plugins are pretty simple because all they're doing is hooking into Docker's kind of the life cycle of a container, and then providing hooks so that you can do things like ultimately this does some setup and provides some metadata to Docker, but ultimately all this is doing is I guess SSHFS, you use a wrapper instead of like mount. So in our case, because we can just mount, say mount-t 9p, we can get that file system, and then Docker provides that to your container. So it just seems kind of like the easiest way to orchestrate getting a 9p file system into a container without having to do a bunch of other stuff on the host. You can just say, does this host run Docker? Can you run Docker plugins, and then run this plugin, and now you can get 9p into your containers, 9p file systems. So like I said, I actually copied most of this from this SSHFS plugin. I've actually never done this before. So the funny thing is I was brought back onto the Docker team as a contractor to build this plugin architecture. So I'm pretty familiar with the protocol and how it works. It's changed a little bit since I worked on it, but I guess what's funny is besides the prototypes, I haven't actually done a plugin before, so this will actually be my first plugin for Docker. So I kind of don't know what I'm doing. We'll see how it goes. The other thing I guess I should do to make sure is, so we're using Docker for Mac. I want to make sure that 9p is actually running in the VM that Docker for Mac uses, or that the module's loaded. So it's the code for 9p is in the kernel, but it's not often enabled, so you just have to do a mod probe to enable it if it's not there. Library, what is this? Containers, Docker. If you don't know, this is a way to get into you can't SSH into the Docker for Mac VM, but you can attach to a terminal. So now we're in this super lightweight VM, and what is it? Proc file systems. So I think that means it's loaded. Like all these other ones. So now we can test that. Actually, it's been a bit since I looked at this. I'm going to look at the the server implementation that I wrote. I don't know if that is the standard port. Anyway, we'll try this. I don't remember if root worked. We'll see what happens. I think I can just go run this. Go run 9ps. Do I need those? I guess not. Okay, so in theory that's running. I'm going to do a client just to test it, make sure that that's working. I don't know how that marked. They made kind of a REPL. This is something that came before me in this project. I think just this. All right. So they've implemented some commands here, and it looks like this is root and not actually my home file system. So it's just a little implementation detail. It's not actually mounting what I thought it would, but this is kind of good enough. Like I should be able to go into users, program. Yeah. So this is, again, this looks like a normal LS, but this is a 9PR command. It's almost like an example thing. It's not terribly useful other than as like a debugger. So it has basically these hard-coded ls, cd, current directory, cat. I could let's see, just to test. Maybe I don't want to show that. Geez, look at all these dot files. I think one of these is just, I think hello is, yeah, it's a command IO command. Okay, so that's 9p kind of working with a custom client. I don't even know if this works. Can't even get out. So I should be able to actually mount this in the Docker from just to test it. And so that's going to be like 9p. And I guess I can look at my source to see how this is mounted, what the options are. Okay. Host O port. And okay. So I guess it's just okay. Actually, how do I access this IP from? I guess I'll get my. It should be running on all interfaces. Okay. Transport TCP port. I think this is using a different port than I would. Yeah. And I don't know. Can I have to make the directory first, don't I? Maybe I could just do this. Do I not have a mount? It looks like it actually attempted to and failed. Let me try that again. So at least it's connecting. Let's see here. Any thoughts? Not a very useful error. But it helps to know that our client worked. So I'm wondering if I'm doing something wrong here. Also, I'm pretty sure I didn't test this when I wrote it, or I was copying it from, maybe I did. I had gotten it working and I put that in here. So I guess let's look on the internet and see how we actually mount. See, where would I look? Mm-hmm. Ooh. Might need a uname. Yeah. And, also, let me make sure that this is... Alright, a uname. Yep. I mean, we could get into the showing that packets. I just want to make sure this is all fine. Ooh, we have debug levels. Cool. I've never had to do a bit masking on a command line. I'm not sure how you would represent that. Okay, let's start seeing what's going on in here. Should make sure that this is the right one. Yeah, I should. Sessions or connection. And this is my implementation here. I don't know, because this code that I wrote is really just like implementing the you know, the methods. It seems like it's not actually setting up the session. So that's in here. There's some call. I wonder if there's any debugging in this library. I didn't have to use any of it. Ooh, a logger. Yeah, this looks helpful. Oh, interesting. Clever. So the logger is a session. It wraps the session. Yeah, we could do that. Just to see. It actually doesn't do much other than show that auth is called and attach is called and that remove is called. It seems like everything else is passed through, but I mean that'll tell us if it at least gets to auth or attach, right? So let's see. Here's my session. Log session equals new logger, right? Oh damn, build ignore. I've not used that, so I'm not sure. Maybe if I just get rid of it. Well, apparently that was also half implemented because it's not implementing the full interface. We'll have to fix that. Attach. It looks okay. What does it actually want? So 2 fids, 2 strings, returns oh, context. It looks like they added that later and didn't add it to logging. Okay, I'll just fix their code. And I have to pass it in all of them. Are they all context? Wait, does my code have, I don't even remember this. Yeah, my code did this. Okay. Context. If anybody has better ideas for debugging this, let me know. Okay. Oh, almost. What's the problem? It wants a flag. Where did that create? Last one is a flag. Oh, and turn the event 32. Okay, another open. What's flag? Also, event 32. And this one's also an int 32. That's, it wants int string. That's a very weird thing to return. I guess like there wouldn't be an error. I don't know, that's weird. Oh, and then there's no, oh, not even Context? I don't know about this. Okay. Now I can do a new logger, debug, session, log session. I don't know, this might not even be helpful. 9ps. This is what I want, right? Okay, we get on attach. Ooh, look at that. Okay, so it's actually trying to do the home directory, but you can't just use tilde in paths and go. You have to expand it. I'm guessing when we did the when we ran this client, it asked to mount a particular path, and I think it might have been just root, and that's why it worked. So maybe if I just change this default to root, that'll work. It'll actually work like I did before. So that could have been it. Whoa. So now what? Current directory. Look at that. Right, so I could go to users, program. See, this time I'm not using the client, I'm actually just using a shell and going through here, cat hello. So that's pretty cool. This isn't the Docker plugin, but it's sort of a step there. We have a working 9p server, and we've validated that the Docker for Mac VM can connect to it, can mount it, because the Docker plugin is more or less going to be doing the same command that we ran to mount it. Well, so maybe it's trying to actually do the plugin. I probably want to unmount this. What is it? That? Cool. I'll just leave this server running. So that was actually helpful, this logger. I should submit a PR for it. Although they had it ignored. I don't know, I don't think they're going to take our PRs anywhere. Okay, so this, when I created this project, I actually did it at the airport on without actually checking it out, and so I was just changing it on GitHub. So I don't even know if this compiles, so that might be the first step here. So I do have it checked out now. Ideally, I'd actually run a Docker plugin to go through and see that that all works and makes sense, because I've never done that before, but I'm just assuming it'll work. So there is a Docker file, which is also based off their other one. It looks like they're compiling it outside, so I should try and do that. Okay. So it's using some stuff. I should probably... I'm worried about vendoring this stuff later. There's not a lot of dependencies. Oh, well, there's another one. Oh, and I'm going to be building this for Linux. So that's... But first I should make sure that it builds it all. Okay, so this is obviously, like I was just editing it here, so there's a bunch of stuff that it didn't do. In fact, if I just hit save, it should auto do all this. Yeah, I should have just hit save here. What is going on here? 73. There's no method. Response. Type volume. I don't understand. Oh, let's see, because I was naming things. Because that's the name of a package somewhere, right? I guess it, because it wasn't actually, if I just rename this, will it try and input the right thing? Yep. So, yeah, now the problem is using this, so what would I name this? Let's just name it capital V volume. Not actually in the project. I don't think there's actually that many here. Volume. It's also refreshing my memory of this code. There's not a lot here, but I don't really remember any of it. Okay, volumes. Okay, that's just doing. Okay, yeah, V is the volume. This is a volume. And this is volume. Okay, maybe I missed some drivers. Oh, they're all, yep. It's one of those obvious ones that a search and replace would have fixed. But this is clearly more entertaining, right? Okay. Okay, 43, what's going on? Okay, so it compiles, and now I need to make a Linux version, which I believe is just this. I don't think there's anything else I have to do, but it's going to be running on Alpine, so it's possible I should tell it not to use libc. Just to be safe, I'm going to do that, but I forget how, so I'm going to look up another project. This one doesn't even do it. I mean, okay, I guess I'll just run it and find out. The problem is yeah, I guess it could work. I guess I'll just try it. So we've got a binary now, right? So I can do docker build. P99P. And I actually have no idea what it is when it's run. So maybe I should just run it and I mean, in theory, I could actually just try and install it as a plugin and see what happens. Could just work. Follow these instructions for this plugin that I copied. So I've never done this before. Oh yeah, debugging. Yeah, okay. Docker plugin install program IMP. And apparently there are some arguments, and I can do this. That's true. There is no manifest. I was wondering about that. So is it supposed to be in the project root? Because in this project there is a manifest here. I remember we were talking about, oh, there's going to be a manifest. It says, you know, capabilities and the interface it implements and yada yada yada. The problem is I don't actually see that this is referenced anywhere. So, and it's not included in the container that it builds. So, let's see what's going on in here. Enable the plugin. I mean, I guess I could put that in there. Let's look. I guess look at documentation. Docker plugin development. Yeah, I need something with details. Something that would mention this manifest. Writing it. Okay, yep, wrote it. Blah, blah, blah. Okay. Oh, yeah, okay. So, Docker plugin, 3 ways to detect plugins. Matching a Tonka file must be located a spec file that contains the URL of the plugin, or a JSON spec that contains a full specification. You can find an example one. Docker. Spec files can be located at... Okay, so I actually need to put that config file somewhere. Well, this doesn't look the same. Is it the same? Discover plugins by looking for them in plugin directory whenever user tries to use my name. Although we did like say plugin install, so I mean it should. Needs to mean science. Yep. Maybe this is an old format, because look, these aren't even the same, like blah blah blah. I mean, although I guess we can see if anybody else has run into this. I assume nobody's done this before either. Okay, I don't think this is plugin related. Those are not activated automatically. You know what I should do? I should go through the steps here to see that this works, because maybe this is out of date even though it's 6 months old. Right. Well, theirs worked. So what's wrong with mine? Well, is it manifest? So maybe it's not actually talked about. Maybe it can't use a local image? That's weird, right? Or did I name it wrong? Like maybe maybe plugins don't read locally and I have to push this. I mean, I could try and Docker push. Well, that's weird. So it could find it before. Now that I've pushed it to Docker Hub, it says it is not found, it does not exist, or there's no pull access. Maybe I can't pull it from my own account. Could be. Permission denied, something. See, I don't know what's... Alright. Maybe there's some help here. Plugin helpers, help me. Maybe I should read the docs too. Whoa, legacy plugins. What? What are the new plugins? Follow instructions, blah, 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 volume, blah, 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 blah. Look at all these. Yes, I've seen this doc before. Plugin discovery. I don't know because I didn't have to do anything else for the other one. You know? Much like webhooks. Yes. Okay, so come on now. I could tag it as something else, local, to see that it's like not trying and like what does that mean? Wait. Do you have to does it have to be public? Like, isn't it public if I push it? I remember there being some weird stuff. Docker MP 2 polls. And it's not private. I mean, this works. So this should all work. The fact that other one works, why is it? How is it any different? Maybe we should look at their make files if they're doing anything weird. Nope. Okay. There's forks of this. I'll look in a sec. So we got clean, Docker build, fancy builder. Ooh, copy config to /plugin root fs. Okay, what? Docker builder So it's using dev as a builder. Okay. Okay, so we build it, then we extract. Oh, they're not even, okay. Okay. So, although that's weird because go then. So yeah, I guess he's installing dependencies and Go and stuff to build it here. Make it, copy that file out, remove it. Docker build plugin name rootfs. This is creating a rootfs image from the current directory though. Create the rootfs directory, so it's creating plugins and then rootfs. Docker create rootfs. Export, so it's exporting whatever's in there. Copying. So like it made a root file system in a container. They export temp. Oh, that's container name. Export it to rootfs, and we copy this in the plugin directory. Okay. So there's a .plugin directory that has config.json, and then what? Remove existing plugin create. Oh, he's creating it from the plugin directory. But why? How am I able to just like Docker pull it? You know? Wait, Docker plugin create. That's not what we ran. Right, we said install. So plugin create creates a plugin. Who came up with this? And how come none of that's documented here? Managed plugin system. To install a plugin, use plugin install. Like that. Yep. Volume create. Okay. Developing a plugin. Oh shit. Someone just linked to me here first. Okay. rootfs. Okay, what the hell is this? rootfs directory represents root file system of plugin. In this example, it was created from a Docker file, like we saw. That the docs are based on the thing that we're copying. They export it in rootfs. Then you have the config file that describes it, and that looks right. This plugin is a volume driver. It requires a host. Yep. New plugin can be created by running docker plugin create path to the data, where the plugin data contains plugin creation file and root. So it actually has to build the plugin container effectively, or assemble it or whatever. After the plugins can be pushed to remote registries with Docker plugin push. Why couldn't they just put the config file in the root directory of a container and just use regular containers. I don't understand, like, this whole this was so frustrating working with them. Okay, so whatever, we know how to create it now. Kind of do what they do, which was create a root image. So in theory, the Docker 9p container image that I have, I need to export, do something like this. I need to create it first. Docker create. I don't know what the hell true is. I never used Docker create. Cool, and the ID, and then make directory. What is some plugin? Root fs, Docker export, tar xc plugin root fs. So I guess now I have a root file system in here. Gross. Whatever. And then so now I copy config into the plugin directory. Sure. Then I can do plugin create, right? Docker plugin name. Plugin. Ooh, cool. My first plugin, even though I designed the plugin system in Docker. Okay. I mean, they, clearly changed a bunch of stuff, but the original spec was some prototypes or something we put together. So plugin ls. And actually my prototype had this interface where you could it was basically like a different container namespace, but they're just regular containers. I don't know why they have to make these this special container thing. That's not at all what I remember. So anyway, so the plugin is there. It's not enabled. Let's see, what do I do to enable it? Do I do install? All the Docker semantics kind of don't work anymore. Okay, so maybe install is not what I want. Maybe enable is what I want. Okay. Okay. And again, I haven't tested the Go code that I wrote, so this probably isn't going to work. But if it does, then that'd be nice. So now how would I use it? So now I have it. Then I'll go back to these docs. So create, and then you pass options. Okay, Docker volume, create. I guess D is for driver. 9p, and then you can pass a bunch of options, and those options are passed to the plugin. So I remember doing that and simplifying them. I think the only options were host and port. So also I kind of want to okay, host my IP, whatever my IP is. Let's just remember what my IP was. And port is port. And what is this, a name? Naming it? Test vol. Docker volume ls test vol. Okay. So, by the way, did that just happen? I don't know. I'll do this. So in theory, I can create a container using test volume. I'll mount it in mount, and I'll use Alpine. Whoa. Input output error. What? So it looks like it connected and it attached. It seems to have done that fine. It's like it's having a problem chmodding something. Plugins, rootfs, mount volumes. I mean, how do we see the, I guess we can from here do like Docker logs, been a while, var log Docker container mounted, copying container. Okay, so did containers create and then there's a problem in there? So let's look at what create did. Create, this is create. It does a mount point, and I don't know what this is. Did I write that, or was that already there? We're so close. So handler returned an error. Response error. Unknown options. So it's not any of these. Host option required. Mount point. What does save state do? Save state. It just marshals it. Ooh. Is it having trouble writing this file? Root fs mount volumes. State path. Okay, what's state path? Is that set up somewhere? State path. Where are you? State. Root. So volumes. I don't know what that is. Should I see what's actually going on here? So I'm guessing this is a plugin, and then this is the file system. Okay. So what? It's like going into mount volumes. What is this? 2b something. This is a directory with nothing in it. So I'm guessing volumes and state. Mount. Okay, so this is the root. This is the root that the plugin gets to work with, and it creates a volumes directory and a state directory with that state. Let's see what's in there. Nothing. There's nothing in there. Is it having trouble writing these files? What the hell is 502 dial out? Varlib, Docker. What are these? Okay, so root, plugins, root. Hey, there's 9p state. What's that doing there? Is that? Okay, that's odd. 9p state. How did that get there? Because okay, we'll just keep going. Because that is the right state. It's possible I screwed up some paths or something when copying this over, because like clearly I don't know what's going on here. Let's look at the other thing and see what they were doing. It's taking a little longer than I thought. I was like, we could wrap this up in an hour. Save state. Okay, so they're doing the same thing. They're hashing it by, what's this H command? SSH command, yeah. So they're hashing it by the command. I'm hashing it by the host. I don't see anything wrong with this. And it made the directory, right? Oh no, that directory. Okay, so I don't know why this is in the wrong place, but it wrote it. It seemed to write it okay. Save state, D state path. Yeah. Like it's never writing state somewhere else, so I'm gonna assume that this is fine for now. What's storage? Some other plugin stuff. Some like internal plugin things. Okay, so this is my plugin. The actual container. And there's a config propagated mount. What the fuck is that? Okay, because wait. Okay. I see this has to do with like it's working with stuff in its local root file system, but then it's putting that stuff somewhere else. I guess like it's being mounted in, and that's probably being defined by what, this? So we've got mounts, mount state, Docker plugins. Okay, so that's why that file's there. And then propagated mount, I guess, is propagated mounts? Shit. So mount volumes, and so it's like, okay, it's got to be doing something weird to propagate mounts. I don't know what that actually means. Because it's trying to mount this inside the container in this root file system, but it's going to end up in that other location. That said, this file that's owned by root. And if we go back out to propagated mounts, that's owned by root. I mean, I'm assuming that's the same thing. I'm assuming it's mounting it in. So create. So create is failing. I don't even know what create's supposed to do. Create the volume. Maybe this isn't even the problem. I don't know. Let's get back to the logs. Log. Docker log. Yeah. Okay, so I guess some stuff has gone on since then. Do this again. Input, output, error. Like it can't. It's trying to, something is trying to chmod. And if it's, okay, this isn't actually the plugin. I was assuming that that was the plugin. So it's actually Docker's having a problem doing this, right? Yeah, I mean, it could be a permissions problem. Let me what am I looking for? var lib docker plugins. Maybe this, I mean, if it's running as root, like permissions shouldn't be a problem. The fact that these permissions are all weird, right? Right. I mean, I can try. doing this. Well, it's having a chmod problem. Root. I don't know, man. Trying again. Nope. It's having a problem chmodding. Trying to chmod this, what, directory? This directory seems fine. And what is it trying to chmod it to? Maybe someone's seen this. Specifically, chmod. Nope. It's not being super helpful here. It's trying. So every time I do this run, it's trying to do this attach. And what? Like, it could be attached. I don't know. Oof. Yeah, it's created by root. So yeah, nobody's got any comments super into anybody's suggestions or ideas, because I'd hate to have to like end on a like, this isn't working. We're so close. Where is this called? And, oh, did we turn debug on in our, when we made this? Enable, install, create. So we did not turn debug on. It would be nice. So I guess I'm not sure how safe everything is. Docker. So I'm gonna get rid of this volume. Docker volume RM. I'm assuming. And then Docker plugins. I don't know. Start, pause. Wait. I want the commands for plugins. Why aren't you telling me those commands? Do I do this? Oh, is it plugin? Create. Disable. RM, that's kind of, I think that's what I want. Plugin, rm program docker 9p. Oh, it's enabled. I have to disable it first, maybe. Okay, happy. So now we want to create it again, but give it some arguments. Create. Is this where we can pass some plugin data dir? Because when you install a plugin, you can give it some arguments. Key val. And I don't know where else I can do that. Enable. Maybe there's another command to settings for a plugin. Set. Okay, that looks right. So I could do that. I don't know how that's, is it gonna like restart it? I'm assuming that that's just setting environment. Okay, so I guess I'll create it again. Create plugin, create plugin. And then docker plugin ls. It's not enabled, but I should be able to set some variable on it. Program docker 9p set bug equals 1. Who knows what that did? Is there a way to look? Inspect. Enable program docker 9p. And so now inspect. And so we'll see. The hell is all this? Okay, environment, debug, value 0. You can't set it before it's running. Cannot set on active plugin. All right. I'll disable. And then I'll set it. And then I'll enable it. And then I'll inspect it. Debug is not 1. Is this the like running configuration, or is this just like the description of the configuration? I don't know. Settings. Okay, so I think this is the running configuration. It does have debug equals 1. You should get more logs now. Now I have to create a volume again. Somewhere up here. Yes. This doesn't do anything until we create it. Create one. Run. Yep. Okay, so we get this error again. But we should get more logs out of here. Yeah, it looks like there's some new stuff. Yep. Volume, mount request. And then this is the call plugin equals that's weird. Right? And then we have this unmount. Why is it unmounting? Maybe it runs that whenever things didn't go well. What happens if I run this? Why is there what is going on? This screen does not have the right terminal width set up or something. Also, I don't want that. I want var lib docker plugin c2 something root fs. Huh? Yeah, it's there. I mounted it. Right? Okay. So, although I added the prefix, I shouldn't have to because it's run inside the container, right? So, oh Jesus, no, this is you're killing me. What? It just kicked me out. That's weird. Screen, library, containers, com, docker, blah, blah, blah. Com, docker, tty. Oh, it doesn't seem very happy. I'm hitting enter. This is not good. It's not happy. Oh, there's a problem where if there's multiple connections, it can fail. Yeah, so it wasn't properly cleaned up. Okay, where am I? Let's start over. Docker plugins C2 something. Is it in here? What is this? Whoa! Hey, it's my mount. It worked when I did it manually. And is that the same thing as what's in here? Yes. Okay. Okay. It shouldn't work now. I imagine it would get confused. So I don't know what this is. This is too much. Tail bar long docker. Let's do this again. Ooh, what's it doing? Is it stuck? Who's at my door? They'll go away, right? 7:30. Unmount. Why is it doing this unmount? Because it fails? I don't know what to think about this. So I might end this stream not because there's someone at the door, but because I'm sort of at a dead end here. I'm not sure what's going on. I'm not sure I can figure it out. So close though. Everything else worked surprisingly well. Oh well, we tried. If anybody is there, nobody said hi in chat, although it keeps disconnecting. I don't know what's going on with that, but this was an interesting experiment using YouTube Live for streaming instead of Twitch. I kind of like Google more, but we'll see. I'll try it again next week or next time I stream. So until then, see you later.